Hello, Hyper Peaches! Welcome to our 5th episode. I'm Erica.
And I'm Joyce.
How's your week, Joyce?
My week is...
My week is...
We sound the same.
I
I think I'll go first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait, last week we were 7.5.
Yeah. Is it higher or lower this week? The ant give me a lower vibe.
I'm a 7.5.
Oh, it's still 7.5?
Yeah. I think... I don't know what I'm feeling this week. I like, just... Throughout the weekday, I was very, like... I don't know, a little unmotivated to, like, just work.
I think it's the weather.
I blame the weather. I blame spring. I blame PMS. I blame...
Spring is not my favorite weather.
Everything.
Seriously.
I thought I liked spring, but not
I don't
this
like
year.
spring in Hong Kong.
Yeah. In what city would you love spring though?
In a more like a way less humid city. Let's
True,
just put it
true,
this
agree.
way.
So yeah, 7.5 because I don't know, like the throughout the week I was a little unmotivated, but then I got sleep, like, and then I just did some stuff to like relax myself.
Yeah.
And I guess that was really helpful for my sanity. And you know, now that I'm with you, I'm talking, I'm drinking wine, I'm releasing energy, I just feel like
winding down.
yeah, I feel like it does make a difference. So it's not too bad, it's not too good. Also, just can't wait things really open up. You know, so
That's fair.
keeping the positivity alive. So 7.5. How about you?
Not my best week for sure. Honestly, I would rate it just like a 5.
A 5. So it's like
It's kind of
very
low. Very because, well, I'm glad on one end, like things are opening up because you can see a lot of people are coming out
already.
So, I mean, I'm glad because at least that means that things are improving, right? COVID is improving.
Yeah.
And you're feeling all the, you know, the crowd.
Yeah.
But this weather, the ups and downs, just like my week.
We're following the weather pattern right now, basically.
I totally not enjoying this weather.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
Yesterday was like really nice, amazing weather, but today is just very humid and gloomy and kind of all that.
For sure.
And I can't wait for this weekend to be over.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait till things open up. We get to go out to drink, have dinner, and just be normal.
God, yes, girls' night out.
I know, so ready for that. And what I'm also ready for is actually today's topic.
Oh yeah.
We actually have a special guest.
A friend of Joy.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce her?
Yeah. So basically, this is my friend that we're about to talk to her. She's called Jinny. Yeah, basically we went to school together in high school. That's how we met. And basically we have really similar upbringings and we got close over the years. She's currently living in New York City now as a nurse, and great thing is she's celebrating her 10th year anniversary with her fiance, and she's getting married in May.
I mean, can you imagine 10 years?
Crazy. Throughout her entire 20s. That's so impressive.
So much respect, man.
So much respect. I think she's gonna be a really fun guest to talk about, and just to share her experiences she went through doing her long distance relationship with her fiance, and just going through a long-term relationship. What were the keys to her success? What were the struggles? What she learned and stuff. So yeah, we're just very excited to invite her today on this podcast.
I mean, we've been witnessing a lot of people just like, you know, coming out of relationship or getting into a relationship during COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
And being able to, you know, make it through a long distance relationship.
I know.
During COVID.
So much respect.
Wow.
Impressive. So yeah, let's head on and talk to her now.
Yeah. Welcome, Jinny.
Hi guys. I'm super excited and nervous to be the first guest.
We're nervous too. Don't worry. So yeah, we gave a small introduction prior to this recording. Do you want to just introduce a bit about yourself to Hyper Peaches fans?
Sure.
Give us a little bit more background.
Well, nice to meet you, Hyper Peaches. I'm Jinny. I'm from Korea. I went to middle school though in America near Seattle, and then I moved on to high school in Monterey, California with Joyce. And then I went on to the East Coast, went to college in Washington, D.C. And then I moved to New York. So now I'm working here now in New York City as a nurse. Um, and it's been about, I guess, like 4 years living here. Um, I don't really have a lot of hobbies, but most of my evenings contain a glass of wine in my hand and my tiny foster kitty babies on my lap. It's my thing. I'm a wine drinking kitty foster. And I live with my fiance right now. His name's Andrew, and my kitty, whose name is Pino from Pinot Noir. And
name is
with
Pinot
whichever foster babies I have.
Wow.
Yes, that's where his name's from. It's my favorite wine.
The dedication is so real. Two of the best things in life, and you decided to combine them into one.
Yeah, perfect.
I know.
Perfect.
I know.
Perfect.
I know. That's how I knew he was like my own. I was like, this little black kitty baby, I'm gonna name him Pino and keep him forever.
That's really cute. You mentioned Andrew, your fiance, and how is that you're 10 years going into the relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like 10 years and now you're getting married. Like, wow.
So I know that both of you guys are Koreans, and you guys, did Andrew came to the States around his teens as well, or?
He actually came a little younger than I did. He's Korean, but came to New Jersey with his some family members on his mom's side when he was like 8. Is that what second graders are? 8 years old?
Yeah.
And he's been basically living in New Jersey until he moved to DC for college.
Okay. Would you say that your background is pretty similar? Like, you guys are both Koreans, you guys share like the same values, you guys watch the same TV shows, love the same kind of music. Like, does that have to do with some kind of like that gives you like a certainty for like a long-lasting relationship? Like, does that have any correlation, you think, in any sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to, I guess, start off, we both came to America around the same age because our families kind of had a similar values and thoughts on education. So we both kind of came to learn English, and then we kind of stayed because we saw the value in like getting education in the States. So I think we stem from a similar value background, but also like watching all the TV shows together. We know little about American pop culture, but more about Korean pop culture. So I feel like our like understanding of each culture is like about the same. When we drink at home, just like chill night, we always end up like listening to like throwbacks from like our like elementary, middle school years back in Korea. So we're always listening to the same music. Yeah. So I definitely think so. Obviously, not there's other people who came to America around the same age, and we don't date them, so that's not you know like the biggest reason.
Pick one. But like,
I think having that like common place is helpful in like long-term relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys got into long distance relationship, and I mean, okay, just before we went into all the deeds, how do you view long distance relationship?
So I hated long distance relationship. I never wanted to do it. Well, okay, so a little bit of background. So Andrew and I went to the same so we went to the same college. So like through the 4 years of undergrad, we basically kind of lived together because we always lived in the same dorm. So we just like were like several floors away from each other, living in the same building. So it kind of felt like we were living together. And we also knew that he probably will have to go to Korea for a couple of years for this like military service that all the guys have to do. So I dreaded it more, maybe because I knew it was coming. And it's such a long time, like 20 months away from each other. And we're literally like international couples. We have like 13 hours like time difference. I dreaded it. I hated it. And then very unfortunately, like it just fell during the COVID time. So he went back to Korea like August of 2019, and obviously COVID hit like 2020, and we didn't get to see each other once during that 20 months, and it sucked.
But you made it through.
But I'm glad we're back together.
So during that time, like I obviously I knew, like, can you explain a little bit more on like what struggles you had, like between, I guess, if you don't mind sharing, like what struggles you guys have encountered throughout that phase during your long distance relationship, and just like what are some compromises that you think you guys made throughout that to make things work? What are some rituals, routines that were like, yeah, that was just sustainable throughout that time, you know? And I'm sure there's some few tips.
Yeah, we definitely got into a habit of calling each other before either of us went to sleep. So it just worked out. Yeah, it just worked out, the time difference, that if he calls me when he's going to sleep, it's usually like when I'm awake and like starting my day. So we'll do like a short convo, and then before I go to sleep, Andrew would be like up, and we'd say how my day went, and we always ended our conversation with a good night and I love you, even though it was like morning time on either one of our side.
He's in the military, right? So how is that, like, is that any different from like a normal, like 9 to 5 kind of
what were the restrictions?
Yeah, there must be some kind
of so thank God they recently, very very recently, I would say like in the last like a year before Andrew went to the military, they started to let people have cell phones with them. So aside from their regular like 8 to 7 like work time, they were able to use their phone unless they were like out on like training. Then we couldn't talk to each other for like days, but most of the days we were able to talk to each other, thankfully, thank God. So I don't know how much harder it would have been if we weren't able to talk to each other every day.
Yeah.
Especially like back in the days when they weren't allowed to have phones. So the conversation would have to be like over an actual like landline. That would have been much harder.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thank God for like cell phones now.
So you guys called you called almost every day, I would say. I mean, you messaged pretty much every day.
Yeah, unless there was like his training. Sometimes I would go to work and my work schedule is a little bit crazy, so like we might not be able to call every day, but I would say like 5 days out of 7 we called each other. I would say like twice a day, and the other 2 days it might just be like text messages. It might be like nothing, but yeah.
That's good.
I feel like because me, like I've been in two long distance relationships actually, and like Joyce, well, she's currently in one. I also find that, like, the hardest part is that even though we try to kind of update each other on their lives every day, it's kind of you're living on two parallel lines, completely different lives, and like everyone's life is kind of the same every day. So how can you add all the spice into the whole like long distance thing while still trying to do this whole like routine every day? I don't know, like just to be like add a spice into the relationship, because it's just calling each other, like nothing else.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys would do, like maybe send some flowers, or like I don't know, sometimes try to watch a movie together. Or I mean it's not possible, like, because it's military, but
what are some things
yeah,
that
is there anything like special or memorable you guys have like done?
So our relationship has been pretty calm and not a lot of fights has been added
Thing. I
for
mean,
a very long time.
Personality.
Yeah. So that's I think that actually helped us with our relationship, is that like both of us are pretty we like having close friends and a small group of friends that we know and understand very well. And I think that relates to the relationship as well. I think we are okay with not having a lot of spark. But I think, I don't know, some people say like long distance relationship like strengthens your relationship. I think that's all BS. I don't think it does.
I like the honesty. Yeah.
I feel like it was something that,
I mean,
yeah, I don't think so either. I think we endured it, and I think it proved what we have, and it gave me a good reason for me to think deep about the relationship that I have. But I don't know that it actually strengthened it in the like the more core like definition of like our like two of our relationship. It gave me a lot of time for me to think about what I need in a relationship and what I think about this relationship, but not really necessarily like in our relationship. I would say that it was very reassuring to see how much dedication we put into like talking to each other. And most of the time especially when we can't talk to each other on the phone before we go to sleep, we would write like a long like text message, not just like I'm gonna go to sleep now, like good night, but like a longer little blurb about the day or what they're thinking about, which sometimes was even nicer than like just talking on the phone.
That's a precious part about letters. Receiving something
about long messages. I think what also like worked was they were able to establish some kind of like end goal to this. I would say, because you guys had a series. Well, if you're okay with me like telling just a brief story, like you guys were able to talk about like, oh, what's gonna happen after Andrew finishes military? What's the end goal? They're gonna probably purchase a place. They're gonna get married. They're gonna get engaged. Like there was some certain like short-term, long-term goals that were established before he was sent off. So I think that gave them the assurance to be like, okay, this is just a temporary thing. They are strong enough to endure this.
Something to look forward to.
Exactly. And I think having that conversation was very, very important before he
that's true,
left off. So communication for a long distance relationship couple is like number one key to like keeping keeping the relationship going.
I think you bring out a really good point, because you say like it gives you the time to reflect on what you really need or what you really want in a relationship. Because I think like most people, when they're unsure about something or some people in their relationship, is often because they're just lost in general. Like they don't know what they want. They don't know what they're seeking for. But if you have like the end goal, or just knowing what you want in general,
for sure,
it makes things much easier.
For sure. I'm curious to know like what are you and Andrew's like love languages? Like what were the differences that you guys encountered when you were just in a long distance relationship? Like who was more clingy, who was more likely to end the call and be like, oh babe, I'm so tired? Like there's always that one person who's like, I'm so sleepy, I'm gonna go sleep soon. Like there's always that one person who initiates that first. I'm just curious to know, like, was there a difference you see in that?
Well, when we first started dating, it was I don't like phone calls. I don't like FaceTimes. I only like to text and message. So Andrew would be like, why don't you like phone calls? Like I would just want to call.
Okay.
But it came a long way. I got better about phone calls. And since we first started dating, it just became our like unspoken rule that Andrew doesn't hang up until I hang up. So sometimes I abused it and wouldn't hang up.
So I mean, that's just miss him.
Yeah.
It's completely like understandable.
Valid.
He'd be like, yeah, he would say like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep, and I'd be like, okay, good night, I love you, and then I wouldn't hang up, and he's like, I need you to hang up.
Or secretly thinking, why don't you hang?
Yes, 100%.
Do you think that dynamic, I'm just curious to know, do you think that dynamic changed like throughout your like, because it's a 10-year relationship, you guys started dating in your early 20s, if you don't mind me spilling your age, now you guys are in your late 20s. Still young. So yeah, just curious to see like how did that dynamic change, because I think people are always on different, I guess, wavelengths and like how they are in relationships. Did you think you changed like your comfort level with him, and like the way you like kind of changed in more a vulnerability way? Like how did that change throughout the years in your perspective? I guess kind of a very broad question, but
well, I think it really helped that we were friends before we started dating. Andrew saw me date somebody else for a couple months before we started dating. So he saw like
and he's like,
very like and we still argue about when he started to like me, because there's always that blurry line. But anyways, he definitely saw like the genuine like side of me when we obviously both didn't see each other as like a dating type material. So we kind of always had a pretty comfortable and easy kind of a relationship, like more like friends type relationship. But I would say that definitely the milestone for both of us was around when we were graduating from college. We started to open up to each other like a lot more. That was like our like 3 or 4 year mark. Getting our first jobs and moving out of the dorms, and we definitely had a lot of like real talks about what we want in life, about like our parents, about like our future. And I think we got a little more serious then. But I would say like most of the time we've been pretty true to each other. We have a lot of like wine and talking nights, which help like hearts out, and we just like talk about whatever. And we've always kind of been an old couple. So
wait, so I do have a question. So because like the way you told me, I feel like because you guys have paved like the foundation into the relationship, so long distance was not as like hard as it would have been. But so if you haven't actually dated him for at least a few years before you started the long distance, do you think it would have worked?
It's a hard question.
I don't think it would have worked if I didn't date him for that long before the long distance. Maybe, I don't know. I think one of the biggest reason why it wasn't as difficult, and I knew that I was going to be okay during that 2 years, was because of the strong foundation and the faith that we had in each other. also it helps that it was COVID time and we didn't leave the house, so there was nothing else to do.
Not much going
But
on.
I think
That's true.
there's
pros and cons.
No partying. Yeah, no
misunderstanding.
outside influence. Yeah.
COVID is a weird time. Like some couples, like you guys, because there's not much else going on, so you guys can be very like stable and steady as a couple. But like some other couples, because there's not much going on, then like there's not enough spark or chemistry or stuff going on between the two of them, and that leads to a breakup. So I guess that tells a lot about like how you really are as a couple. Like, do you have enough things going on between the two of you that does not require anything like from the outside to like sustain the relationship?
That's true. I think because they've been so rock solid since the beginning, and their foundation was because they were like good friends from the start. I think that really helped them to like just have like conversations throughout their whole relationship as like friends, in a friend's perspective, and that made it everything more easier, more just easygoing. Rather than
I think like both sides put in a lot of effort.
I think so too. I mean, you need it. You know?
Not hang up before you hang up. I'll give him credit for it because it's really hard.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing to see how like, because I met Andrew like once, right, in Korea, and I think the love and the care that they have for each other is very like mutual. Like I would want to say like it's so mutual to a point that like before they even got married, it was like it felt like they already married. You know what I mean? It was that stability, that old couple vibe. That I think that's the key to like a long-term relationship. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
it's not necessarily external factors.
It's no longer just couple. It's more like family.
Yeah.
So exactly. Couple in a way is like, oh, you guys already sound like family. That's a good thing. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, some people like it, super exciting, whatever.
So this year is you guys' 10th year, right?
Yeah, we just had our 9-year anniversary in March.
Wow. Damn. When you wrap it up, it's 10, you know.
So going into 10, and you're going into the 10th year, you know, like
exactly. So what, like, this feels like, I mean, obviously you guys are having a wedding ceremony in May.
Yeah.
How were you sure?
$1 billion
and the question. How are you sure up till this point that Andrew is the one for you after like for like all these ups and downs, throughout these 10 years? What made, like, were there moments where you were like, aha, he's the one? Or was it just like kind of like a gradual like realization? Like what was, we're curious to see what went through your head into making a decision to like, all right, this is a guy, I'm gonna like wear a white wedding dress, I'm gonna like do all these things, because it's a big decision, you know, it's actual once in a lifetime thing, and it's a big deal. So just
wait, sorry, can I just ask, so after he got back from military, how long before that, like before you guys got engaged?
He proposed like a month after. Wow. We kind of knew that we were going to get married if we went through the long distance relationship well.
So not seeing each other for 2 years and then seeing each other like getting back together,
living together,
and then get engaged.
Yeah.
How? What
it was pretty surreal when he was coming back, because obviously I was excited to see him for the first time in like 20 months, but also I was like, I haven't seen him in 20 months. And now we're living together.
The contrast. And
now I might get engaged to him. There's a chance that he's flying over with an engagement ring. Like, what if I don't like him after all these 20 months?
The sound of it gives me chills.
A lot of things happened. Like, COVID changes people.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was worried. We were worried, and we first like saw each other when he came out of the gate in the airport.
Oh.
We were a little bit awkward for like 15 minutes. We were like, I was like driving him back, and we were like, "You're back in America."
That face.
Welcome to
But then-
America.
Yeah.
Sign on.
Long time no see. Yeah.
But yeah, so after that,
But
like,
then we came home, and like I would say like an hour later we're like, okay, now what do we do? Because okay, that was cool. Now we're back, so you want a drink?
Want a Pinot Noir? And then hand over the cash.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was the first time he actually ever met Pino. I was like, here's your our future son. His name is Pino. He's met him virtually.
so cute. So would you say like everything just kind of got back in track like after you guys got home?
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
It's
That's
like
like
a
an
muscle
hour,
memory,
like-
but like towards people.
Yeah.
So like the minute you got back, after I like, you know, get used to
Yeah.
this and oh, I remember how you used to touch me.
Yeah. So
I
so
just-
yeah. So did
Yeah.
you had a moment where you were like, I think I'm ready to get engaged? Like, did you had that like moment?
that realization.
realization.
So we were forced to think about it when Andrew had a more specific plan on when he had to do the long distance. Because the other thing was like, if I'm not sure that he's the one, do I want to go through 2 years of long distance relationship?
Yeah.
I kind of needed a better definition of the relationship before he left. Because obviously like breaking up in the
Yeah.
middle of long distance relationship like just didn't sound like a good time to break up. Like I was like, if he's not the one, I should break up with him before he goes,
Yeah.
because I want it to be because I don't see a future with him, not because like long distance sucks. And if I was going to be with him for the rest of my life, then I'd better figure that out so we can plan for the future as well. Because you know, once he comes back, we need to get back to our daily living. So I definitely had to come to that decision like 2 years before I got engaged. When I first I don't think I ever had a moment where I was like, I think he's the one, but it slowly just happened, and I just didn't see myself with anybody else.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I say that I don't think I knew that I made up my mind about him being the one is because there was this one time we love oysters. We went to have oysters and white wine, and also cut out any stories if it gets too long. We went and we were drinking wine, we're eating a lot of oysters, we got pretty drunk, and Andrew said something that I still don't remember what it was. And I got really upset because it sounded like he didn't see a future like of us like being married. So I got really upset, and I started like crying a little bit. And then I went to the bathroom and I came back, and he had made this ring out of the receipt that he paid for and gave it to me and was like, I didn't mean it to come out like that. I definitely see a future with you. I still have that paper receipt ring. And I think that in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that I wanted to stay with him. Until I realized that it was there. Yeah.
Damn, that paper ring though, worth so much more than the actual diamond ring, you know?
Yeah, if I were Andrew,
No, Joyce, no.
Thinking like, damn, I shouldn't have even have spent a penny.
I should have just rewrapped the paper ring.
Why would I even buy you a diamond ring
with the fancier paper? Oh, that's so sweet. That's like the first time I've heard that story. That's so sweet of him. I think Andrew is just a very overall like, because I only met him once and he's a very quiet, like I would say semi-introvert guy, but the things that he do, it's so like, it's so out of this, it's so, I don't know, it's just so sweet. Like, remember the first time, this is like off topic, but you know, I told Erica this just now off cam. It was like, we were drinking when I was in Korea, of course, and then we went out on the street, and then I think you saw, was it a Lilo and Stitch iPhone case or something like that?
Oh, yeah. It was
and yeah, it was like, oh, it was like a AirPod case, whatever, something
AirPod
like
case.
Yeah, AirPod case. Sorry, yeah. And you were like, all you did was, oh, it's so cute, I really want it, and but then you just like, you left right after that sentence, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, are you gonna buy it? Like, you just left. She was like drunk, so you're just like, I want it, and she just left. And Andrew was like behind, and I was kind of a little behind you too. And he like went up, and he was like, oh, like how much? Like, I want to buy it for my girlfriend. And then he went ahead and just like bought it, like without overthinking it. It was just like so simple, straightforward. And she just did it, and I was just like, Jinny never expected that. No one ever expected you to do it, but he went out of his way to do a gesture like that. It means a lot. It says a lot about his character.
I think it's all these kind of personality traits that make the whole relationship work.
That's so
like
true.
The long distance, or just the 10-year relationship in general.
Yeah, because I don't think Jinny, you never asked him that, oh, you have to do this, you have to buy me this, you have to do certain things. I think you guys both just accepted the way you guys are, and yeah, he just went beyond and above and beyond. And
sometimes you don't even need to ask a guy to do something for you. If he cares enough about you, he would have just done it.
Okay, Andrew needs to listen to this podcast, because it's becoming like a brag Andrew podcast.
It's like this like number one like boyfriend material.
I should play this in front of his friends.
No, Andrew's gonna feel so good.
Send it to his friends.
Yeah, seriously.
Like,
I'm so happy even though I just met you for the first time. Listening to all these stories, I feel happy for you guys.
Yeah. Is there anything, I guess we touched on a lot today too, right? Is there anything that, I mean, as like a wrap up, or like to our conversation, any advice or anything that you've learned throughout this journey of a long distance relationship / long-term relationship? Any advice to people that are out there currently, like, experiencing what we're experiencing too, like how to sustain it? What is some things that like we
do's or don'ts in a relationship?
What worked for you, and what are some advice?
I think I've mentioned this before, but what the long distance relationship did for me was to help me really put a good thought into myself and the relationship that I have. And the conclusion that I came up with is that obviously I love him, and I see myself being with him for a very long period of time. And this 2 years of long distance relationship it can't hurt enough for me to ruin what I have. For the rest of my life, if I want to be with him, then it's worth it for me to go through the 2 years of long distance relationship. It might give somebody a reason to break up, because long distance relationship does put a lot of strain in couples relationships. It does make a lot of people question each other, and if it does make you break up, then maybe it wasn't meant to be, and I don't want people to feel too bad about it. I think the only good thing that the long-term relationship can do is really help you to understand how much you want it. So I don't think it's for everybody either. And if you break up because of the long distance relationship, it's just not meant to be. The circumstances sometimes just don't work, and I just don't want people to feel too bad about it. And it's always better once it's over. It's so much more exciting when it's over. So if that's what you're looking forward to, keep holding on to that, and just remember how much fun you have with your significant other when you're together, because long distance relationship doesn't last forever. So
that's true.
Thing is, it's good if you have a plan. Like if you can plan to at least, you know, have an end goal, like we said earlier, then something to look forward to. It would make the whole experience much more bearable.
Yeah, and I think it's important.
Definitely.
I think it's important to have that mindset of like staying hopeful going into it and being while you're in it, right? Because because you guys can be physically together, it's hard to control your emotions sometimes, but I guess the sense of like having that emotional maturity where like you're gonna stay calm, you're gonna be hopeful and positive is really important when you know what you're doing, right?
Oh my god, yes, emotional maturity. I guess that's gonna be for another topic actually, because
seriously,
because like I don't know, like maybe Jinny, I think you're more like an emotionally stable person.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think for like myself,
you should see what goes on in my head and in my
like that could last for like another 10 hours of talk. But yeah, because I think just long distance relationship, it really trains your like your whole like your emotional your mentality and everything, and and brings out all the bad good and bad sides of people. Yep. So I guess thank you so much for
just thank you so much for being so vulnerable with us with the Hyper Peaches podcast. I think
that was actually not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be once I started talking.
I figured. But yeah, just like thank you so much for being on here, and just I think it takes a lot to be vulnerable in front of a camera with like just people that you don't know and just sharing your life story. I think that's just can't wait to have you back in next year, maybe 2023. And just have you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I hope you had fun too. And just this, we want this platform to be a place where people can share exactly what they're going through, what goes through in their head, and just be as authentic and genuine as possible, and also feel more relief that like these things go on in our head, but we don't necessarily say it out because we feel like we can be judged sometimes. But we want the space to be a free speech kind of platform, right?
Just share all your insecurities, whatever. Like
no judgment zone. So
we'll be listening.
Thank you for listening, and we hope your day is as peachy as this episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Like this podcast on Spotify and iTunes.
Also, comment or DM us on any of our social media platform as well. Talk to you in the next one. Bye.